Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here today to continue discussing Peter and his writings this week. This morning, I'd like to read again from 1 Peter chapter 1 and beginning with verse 13. So prepare your minds for action and exercise self-control. Put all of your hope in the gracious salvation that comes to you when Jesus Christ is revealed to the world. So you must live as God's obedient people. Don't slip back into your old ways of living to satisfy your own desires. You don't know any better than that. But now you must be holy in everything you do, just as God who chose you is holy. For the scriptures say, you must be holy because I am holy. Well, Peter is concerned about people's walk with Jesus. Now, if you're not a Christian and you don't want to be, I don't know why you're listening to me. I'm sorry, it doesn't make any sense to me. But even for those of you who may be like that, there's something good to hear here, I hope. He starts out by saying, prepare your minds for action and exercise self-control. Exercising self-control isn't always the easiest thing to do. You take an alcoholic, for example, and take one who knows that they're an alcoholic. And they take that drink, and they take the second one, and the third one, and the fourth one, and so on and so forth. They can't stop. They don't have the power within them to stop, or at least evidently they don't. And we know that alcohol addiction is one of the most difficult things to break. And in most cases, maybe every, I don't know, you have to have help. You have to have others who will encourage you, because when that urge to drink that drink comes, it takes an enormous amount of self-control and personal energy to say no. Now, there are a lot of other things in the world that have the same effect. I don't know if you're under the power of those, but you're certainly under the temptations to them. You know, the old great movie, It's a Wonderful Life, had George Bailey tempted to take the offer by Potter. And he said, no, wait a minute, I'm not going to do this. We have to remember what we were before we started to walk with God. And Peter even alludes to that because he says, you must live as obedient children. Now, I know we don't like the word obey. In our culture, we have a strong sense of, I can do whatever I want to do. And within some parameters, that's true. And the notion that we have to obey things, well, we act more like 2-year-olds sometimes. So he says, you must live as obedient children. Don't slip back into your old ways of living. And he says, you didn't know any better then. You know, so many times we talk about the good old days. And you know what? They weren't all that good. They were just old. And in our daily lives, to somehow think that well, it was better before. You know, you're just like the ancient Hebrews who said when they got to the water of the Red Sea, well, it was better back as a slave in Egypt. And then when they get to the promised land, well, it was better to be back there than it is here. We tend to remember the past much, much better than it was. And so Peter's kind of saying, don't live in your old ways. It didn't work for you back then. What do you think it's going to do now? I'm reminded of Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing you've always done, but hoping you're going to get a different result. Peter gives us a different way to do things. Live obediently to the Lord. Now, you got to understand, God is not trying to pound you over the head. He's not trying to burden you with rules and rules and rules and rules and rules. I know some religious leaders do that, but Jesus didn't. Look at his rules, if you will. Those were simple things of living a life of love and compassion and grace. And if you commit yourself to that, then you will find this great joy of salvation that Peter's talking about. The scriptures he ends say, you must be holy because I am holy. Being holy is not a badge of honor. Look, I'm holy. It's also not a weight of burden. Oh gosh, I gotta be holy. No, it's simply walking in the joy with the hand of God. And it doesn't matter where you are in life. It doesn't matter what's happening to you right now. It doesn't matter what your situation is or what your past was. You and I can now walk in this life of obedience and joy and greatness because God gave us the opportunity to do that. Jesus died so that you might live. That's what he says. And so today, I want to encourage you to stick with what God has shown you, even if it seems to be tougher than you expected. Just remember that everything you have is a gift from God, and everything that you can be is a gift from God. And honor him who gave you so much in all that you do. Well, you think about it. If you have a need or a concern, call us. We'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with another thought from the writings of Peter.